Erik was coming in the door, and it was strange because he had been at school and he was supposed to be at school. His face was all white, he was like pale, and I knew something was wrong.
I got an emergency telephone call from a leader in youth in the mission. He told me that I had bad news for you.
And I got this phone call from Torkel, and I could hear that he was really crying when he told me this.
Your son has had a very serious car accident.
He said that he thought he never will survive, and I was in shock, I think.
He might even be dead. We don't know if he's alive.
And I started crying, and I felt almost like I was in a coma or something because it was so unreal.
My name is Eva, and I have two sons, Tor Erik and Per Arne, two lovely boys.
In 1999, I was going to a Bible school in America. I was going to youth with a mission. When I got back, I started to work in a church.
We were really close at that time because he was living on the other side of the hall that we had an apartment in Oslo. So he kept on visiting us for dinner, asking us, is there something left for me today? So we had him for dinner every day. And that was very nice. We get to know each other big time. I feel he's one of my closest friends.
I used to do a lot of snowboarding. I was on a snowboard team here in Norway. I got the 5th place in the Norwegian championship. In 2002, just a few days after I've been competing, I was going to Thailand. I was going to visit a friend. She was working for Youth with a Mission. We were supposed to drive with a car around in Thailand to see all the different places there. After 2 days, we were going to a wedding in North Thailand. So we were going there. We met a car. We had a head-to-head collision.
With the accident, when the two cars crashed, Per Arne tried to avoid it, but it came 3 cars against him, and it was too late for him to come away. The other girl, together with Per Arne, she couldn't breathe, and when she looked on Per Arne, he was laying back with his head like this, and he didn't breathe, and she thought he's dead. And she was sitting for a long time and was desperate in the car. And she found her cell phone, mobile, under the seat, and tried to call different numbers for asking for help.
I don't remember anything of it.
A friend of us, he was a YWAM leader, and he called us and said, Per Arne has been in a car accident. I just said, that cannot be truth.
And my first reaction was just like, no, Lord, no, 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 you can't take Per Arne, you can't take him, you can't take him. And we cried and we just held each other, and it was just awful.
My brother was the best friend I had at that time. We've been so close for so many years. We started praying, and I called every friend we have to make them pray as well.
Per Arne, we know that he was up in the north. It was no hospital there. As a nurse, I know that it's so important to get the help as quick as possible.
They really needed to get him to a hospital because he's about to die.
Torkel actually called the military in Thailand, trying to get a helicopter to rescue Per Arne. And I remember he said, it doesn't matter what it costs, it doesn't matter what it costs, I'll pay you whatever it costs. And he was just like red in his face, red eyes, tears in his eyes. And it's like, it's my son, it's my son, it's my son's life.
But the light, it was going to night, and it was not allowed to get a helicopter.
We tried to get some people from the YWAM in Thailand to pick him up.
And it wasn't really an ambulance or anything, it was just a regular car. It was a 6-hour drive or something all the way to Bangkok. and while they were driving, the Y1 person told us that Per Arne's eyes were going back into his head, and they could only see the white in his eyes, and that's the thing they do before they die. So we were freaking out and praying so hard and screaming in an apartment to, please Lord, save him now, save him.
I remember Eva, she was a wreck. She was like, she almost couldn't stand to her feet, and was just like shaking, and it was so painful for her.
I remember very, very clear that the only thing I said to the Lord, Lord, I have to trust you. I have to come into your arms and be there. You have to do the work now. Because in my mind I know that we couldn't do anything, and it was so bad thinking that he was a young boy, very strong. Then suddenly he was in coma with broken neck and paralyzed his whole body.
But I said to her, you have to pack everything, what you need, and we have to leave in half an hour.
They told me that they wanted to take the first plane available to go to Thailand and be with Per Arne. And I told my father that I feel it's going to be okay, Daddy. I really do. I just knew that something was going to happen because God wasn't going to let my brother die. He had so much stuff that he needs to do in his life before he dies.
So after 3 hours we were on the plane to come to Thailand. I was sitting there and I think, Lord, you have to do it. And then I felt quite a peace, and I couldn't understand how I could be so peaceful.
We got a message in the plane. When he arrived Bangkok, he was still alive, but it was very serious. He was breathing twice a minute. And my thinking as father was, oh, if I could hold him under his head before he was dying. I was desperate if I could have been together with him, but we were far away. It was very, very hard. It came suddenly a worship song. What a faithful God we have. And I got really peace in this hard situation. After about 20 hours flight, we came to Bangkok, to the hospital.
Per Arne, they had just come to the hospital, but I had to say, Per Arne, we are here. I shouted that to him because he was deep in the coma. He was laying there and with all the stuff around him, and I could see that his pulse was going up. So I thought he could hear us, but the doctors told us Per Arne's brain that was much damaged, and it was bleeding all over, and it was no connection between the left and the right side. If he survived, he will never be a normal man again. I looked at Per Arne, and he was laying there as a man, looking to my really lovely little boy. He was 22, but he was my little boy. And that was hard to look at him. But still I felt the peace that the Lord has given to me while I was in the aeroplane. And I also could see, just I come into the room, was a big, big angel. And I know that this was the angel that really was a fighter angel. I have seen 3 angels in my church almost every Sunday before that accident. But the day before the accident, I only saw 2 of them in the church. The fighter angel, he was away. And when I come into his room, I could see him. And it's a big angel from the bottom up to the roof, and his face was over Per Arne's face. And I know in that moment that he will survive. So that was the start for more and more days, sitting by his side, waiting.
We really wanted to go down there and to be by his bedside and be together with him. So we got on a flight, me and Henriette, my wife, and it was amazing seeing my brother because he was lying there. It looked awful. He was all white, and it was a terrible sight. And I was so afraid that if he would wake up, he would be like not my brother anymore. So I just started talking to him actually. that I love you, brother, and you can't die now. And I really felt that he's not going to die. I was certain. One day, Torkjell told us that he got this vision that he thought was from the Lord, that Per Arne was going to wake up.
The Lord spoke to him about a church in Norway that was in coma, as Per Arne was in coma. That the church will wake up and that will become a revival in Norway, and especially among the young boys and girls.
What was so hard for me when I got this glimpse about the church was the sorrow I felt the Lord had for his people, his passion for his people, his love for his people. He wanted to take them into his arms and be a father to them. But people didn't care. So I felt the parallel when I was sitting with Per Arne and looking on him as a father. I was desperate getting the contract. And I felt the Lord was desperate for bringing us into his arms, for telling us he loves us so much. And when I heard the Lord said to me, as confirmation of what I have showed you, you will see Per Arne getting up Pentecostal morning. And I told it to Eva when she came the next morning. I think he will go up Pentecostal Sunday.
That was 3 weeks before the Pentecostal morning, and Torkjell told me that. And I said, how can that be possible? Almost 3 weeks, how can we survive, or Per Arne survive? Because the news of the doctor was bad. Every morning we got worse and worse words from the doctor.
But on the other side, we knew that our heavenly doctor, Jesus Christ, he is much bigger than any other doctor.
So we kept on praying and praying and praying, and then we played worship songs.
And we were playing worship day and night. And what was so amazing, it was people from city to city, from church to country, they were praying all over.
I didn't know the Drangsland family actually, but the missionaries I went to see, they knew them very well, and they knew about the accident that had happened to Per Arne in Thailand. And so the missionaries told us that they needed us to be in prayer for this accident. Just felt that we joined like this whole prayer network because we knew a lot of people were praying for him.
And we know that praying and worshipping was the main 2 keys to get Per Arne out of everything. Every morning the doctor comes in to us and tells what's news.
After about 7 days in coma, the doctor said that it's not getting better.
They took a MR. They said it even worse the second time than the first time they took the MR, because the bleeding was still bleeding and they can see the damage was bigger than they first thought it should be. And he said that also that staying long in the coma, that it's even worse to come back again. But of course we trust the Lord. Per Arne gets worse and worse, and especially when we come to the Pentecostal Eve. His blood pressure was up and down, he's got a fever, he was blue in his face. I remember that it came a big storm over Bangkok in that minute.
There was a lot of thunder happening, it was lightning, and it was really something going on in the spiritual world, I could feel it. And we got this phone call up to our room saying, you have to come to Per Arne's place, something is happening, his blood pressure is dropping, it seems like he's going to die or something.
The pulse gets from 0 to 200, very quick, up and down, up and down. So the doctors told us that they thought he should die that night.
When I was sitting and looking at Per Arne in the night, I cried for him, Per Arne, answer me. But he didn't answer. It was no reaction. And I was thinking, all the time I have been in business, I have had too little time with you, Per Arne. It's so hard to sit if you know, and no connection. It's too late. I was saying to myself, what have I used these years for? The family is number one and not the business. I have lost all these years. They said to me for the first time, no, you have to leave the room. It came to me when I was standing there outside. Everything is possible for the Lord. And I was thinking of Lazarus. He was raised from the dead. I had a really hope he should stand up. And I was standing and waiting.
In that moment, the doctor came running out from Per Arne's room and said, "You have to come in, you have to come in. Something happened with your son."
And what happened was that Per Arne's blood pressure looked like it was going to turn into zero and he was going to die. But suddenly something happened. And he opened his eyes. And
he started to breathe. He opened his eyes and looked at me. It was amazing.
The first thing I remember after I woke up from the coma in Thailand, I'm not sure really. Everything is so confusing.
For me, it was like Lazarus getting your deaf son back. And I called Eva afterwards and say, something has happened.
Tuchel called me and said, "Oh, Per Arne's woken up. And I went over there. And then the fever went down to normal temperature. And exactly the same. He started to breathe by himself and he was breathing normal. They took also all the stuff he had in his mouth away. So everything happening like that. And I start talking to him. "Per Arne, can you say something to me?" And he said really good Norwegian. He said some wonderful words to me. "Yes, ma'am, I am here. Why are you here? I went by myself to Thailand. Why is you here?" He said a lot of words the first time he spoke.
And the doctor was like running in the halls and this is a miracle. This is a miracle. Your God is a true God.
And he was a Buddhist. But they know after all the weeks we have been together with the doctors and all, that Jesus was there in his room. It went very quick with Per Arne. He was paralyzed, his left side.
I wasn't able to speak normal or I wasn't able to walk.
He had to learn everything again, but after 2 days he could drink, he could do most of it, but still he couldn't really walk. So we went home.
And we got Per Arne in there. He was lying in one of those ambulance beds inside the aircraft. And when we was in air there, it felt awesome because then I knew nothing can stop us now. Now we get back home.
And we come home and they took a new MR picture of his brain. And the Norwegian doctor come into our room in the hospital and said, "That cannot be true. That cannot be. We have never ever seen like that. We have the MR from the accident, the brain damaged, everything bad. And then after 1 week coming up from the coma, normal result."
The main doctor there said, "I do not believe this is your son." And I say, "It's our son."
I got to a rehab place here in Norway. When I got to that place, I wasn't able to walk or I wasn't able to remember anything and I wasn't able to talk normally. I decided whatever the doctors said, if they told me that I was supposed to use 3 weeks, for example, to walk again, I decided to try to do it in 1 week instead of 3 weeks.
I remember the second day at the physiotherapist, he saw a guy, he was running the stairs. They had a small stair, and Per Arne just like me, tell me, "Oh, Henriette, let's go over there and try the stairs." I wouldn't try the stairs. I was just like, "No, you can't even walk straight on the floor." And he was just so wanted to get well so soon.
After 3 weeks, I was able to walk again, I was able to talk, and I had my memory again. They said that I was like one of the fastest patients they had ever had there since they opened for 20 years ago. I know I wasn't able to do all that stuff if God wasn't helping me. A half year after accident, I tried to snowboard again, and that wasn't too hard, you know. Even my left side of my body didn't know all the different moves, you know, but I was able to do the turns and to do different jumps and flips and all the stuff again, so it was really cool. My second year after the accident, I went to Spain, where I met Monica.
I was there because I was helping out a family that did missions in Spain. I didn't really remember that it was him that we'd been praying for. But then after we'd known each other for a while, I just kind of, oh yeah, that's right, we did pray for that accident.
She told me that she had prayed for me for 2 years ago, and that was enough, you know. You don't need more to love a person. After 9 months, I proposed to her.
Monica redd?
I was like, that was my husband. It's really funny. That's kind of a nice little touch of God that I had also been involved in how Per Arne got healed.
My brother has almost completely recovered now, so he doesn't have any physical means. And we now work together, actually. But we're really close friends, and Per Arne is married, and I was his best man, and that was an honor for me to stand by his side now as his best man. It was awesome, actually.
For me, for getting him back, I really wanted to have time with him. So we sold our business and I didn't go back. So I have had more time with him now. And for me, it was like a new time in my life. For we have got him back. So I'm so thankful as a father.
When I tell my story to people, I normally end with 3 options. They can choose what they want to believe, you know. I can't force anyone to believe me. The first option is that just believe that it's something I just made up. Option 2 is that people can believe that I'm just making it bigger, you know, more dramatic. Or they can believe that God has actually healed me and that our God, He's actually alive. Not just for 2,000 years ago, but He's still alive like every day now, and He's doing miracles every day, you know. That's what most of people are believing, that God has actually healed me.
After this happened, I believe everything is possible for the Lord.
And the Lord is a living God, and He's my daddy, and therefore it's so good to run into His arms, because I felt I did that on the airplane, really, run into my Father's arms. And I stayed there, and I can still stay there.
I think God has shown me so much stuff, because He healed my brother completely. I started to trust in the Lord.
For me, it's really encouraging because I know that God put him there as an example and as an obvious miracle for people to see who God really is and what He really can do. This is how life is, and this is how God just is there all the time through hard times as well in our lives.
I just really felt that the time in Thailand gave me a lot of faith in God, and then it reminds me that, wow, this is so big. It's so big because we have such a big God. And it also affects me in a way that, you know, it's not difficult for me to ask God for miracles. Nothing whatsoever is impossible for God.
Me and Monica, we have like a great life together now. We're married and we live here in Oslo. I still don't remember too much of the accident now, but I know that when I see pictures, when I see what the doctor wrote, I know it was a miracle. I don't care too much about the small things, because the big thing is that I'm alive, you know, and that God gave me my life back. I was almost dead and he just woke me up. That's the cool thing, and I'm living my life with my wife and with God and with my church. I have a great life, so I'm just happy.